back to the Cognac Jewellery School. Today we're making a pair of triple drop ocean-inspired earrings. Let's get started.
To create these earrings, I'm using 3 different styles of recycled sterling silver casting: the small starfish, a pair of cockle shells, and 2 sand dollars. Whether you're buying or making your own, you'll always have at least one sprue coming off your casting. The sprue is the point where the molten metal feeds into the casting, and it'll need removing and cleaning up before doing anything else. Where possible, saw off the sprue as close to the casting as you can, and then tidy up any excess metal with a file or with sanding discs or bands on a pendant motor. Once the sprue is completely gone, polish each casting to a finished state. I like to use these radial wheels, working from the coarsest grit to the finest, until I've achieved a high shine, or a texture consistent with the rest of the casting. I want each element of these earrings to move freely, so today I'll be making small silver jump rings that I'll solder to each casting in order to be able to attach them together. Jump rings are readily available to buy, but as I don't quite have the right size in stock, I'm going to make them using a section of wire from an ingot I made earlier. Start by annealing the silver to soften it, before feeding it through the square rollers of a rolling mill to reduce the diameter. To create round wire, secure a draw plate into a vise and draw down the silver gradually by systematically pulling it through each of the holes until you reach the diameter you're looking for. For fine wire like this, I like to draw it down by hand with a pair of tongs in one hand and a boot on the bench for ballast. It's not elegant, but it gets the job done, and I can achieve a much longer length of wire this way than I can with my draw bench. Once I've reached the diameter I want for this wire, it's ready to be annealed once again and turned into jump rings. You do not need a fancy jump ring making tool for making jump rings. I'm not knocking them, I just don't have one. So I'm using this completely analog but entirely functional method instead. Find a round wire that has the same internal diameter as the jump ring you want to make. It can literally be anything. A piece of silver, a skewer, whatever. And fix it into a pin vise. Today I'm using a rivet of about 2.3mm that I found in the barn. Holding the pin vise and the end of the wire in one hand, wrap the rest of the wire around the pin to create a tightly coiled spring. Once you've used all the wire or run out of space, slide the coil off the pin and bring it back to your bench peg. Hold the wire spring tightly against the end of the bench peg and saw down through the length of the spring, releasing a series of tiny jump rings. Now I have all the elements, I can start to solder these earrings together. Attach the first jump ring to the tiny starfish so that the point of the starfish sits in the join of the jump ring. Hold it steady with a pair of reverse action tweezers, flux, and place one piece of hard silver solder across the join. Heat the starfish and jump ring until the solder flows into the join on the front and the back of the starfish. Quench, and thread a second jump ring through the first jump ring. Hold the first jump ring in a pair of reverse action tweezers and place the cockle shell up against the second jump ring. The reverse action tweezers will keep everything steady, as well as absorbing heat from the first join, which will reduce the likelihood of accidentally running the wrong solder join. Flux the join and place one piece of hard silver solder on the join between the casting and the jump ring and solder. Once the solder has run, quench and pop it in the pickle.
If you like these earrings and you'd like to make a pair for yourself, we have a selection of recycled sterling silver castings available in our materials shop. With lots of different styles to choose from, you can mix and match to create your own design. So if you want to have a browse, there's a link in the description.
Once pickled, we can solder a stud pin onto the back of the starfish. Place the starfish face down on a fire brick, paint with some flux, and place one small piece of hard silver solder in the center. Secure a stud pin in a pair of reverse action tweezers and position it on top of the solder, making sure that it's in the center and upright. Heat the starfish and stud pin, being mindful to steer clear of the soldered jump ring. Heat until the solder flows, quench, and pickle before soldering the next jump ring. To create a really strong join between the jump ring and the cockle shell, mark the point where you'd like the jump ring to go with a permanent marker and create a small nib using a round needle file or a round burr on a pendant motor. This will both enable you to position the jump ring exactly where you want it to go without it moving, and give you a much stronger join. Hold the jump ring in place with reverse action tweezers. Place one small piece of hard silver solder on the join, and solder. The final element in our triple drop earrings are the sand dollars. And again, it's really important to create a really strong join. So using a round needle file a semicircle into the casting so that it's just the right size for your jump ring to sit in snugly. Thread it through the jump ring, solder to the cockle shell, and sit it up against the sand dollar. Make sure the join of the jump ring is touching the casting to be able to solder it closed at the same time that we solder it to the sand dollar. Hold the cockle shell jump ring in a pair of reverse action tweezers. Place one small piece of hard silver solder over the join and solder. Once soldered, quench and pickle. Once pickled, repeat the process to make the second earring, and then all that's left to do is to pop the earrings into the barrel polisher for an hour or so to burnish them to a high shine. And voila! A pair of silver triple drop ocean earrings featuring starfish, cockle shells and sand dollars.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and see you all again next time. A bientôt.